They laughed when he walked in. The laughter was short, sharp on whiskeyed teeth, bitter on lying lips. But not hers. She knew who he was, or who he pretended to be. He came out of the rain like sin with no forgiveness. Water pooled in the collar of his trench coat, darkness pooled in his eyes. Newport was a city of dead street lamps and wet roads, and everyone knew, if Silas Kane was back, someone else was leaving. Martin's Bar on Jefferson was the last place he could walk into without getting shot, or almost the last. Inside smelled of damp wood, last year's tobacco, and cheap saxophone. The walls wept mold. The mirrors were cracked like promises. Silas took the corner booth under the dead ceiling fan, ordered whiskey neat. The bartender didn't ask questions. This town knew the price of silence. The whiskey burned, bitter as truth in a glass. She walked in 15 minutes later. Red dress, wet curls, heels sharp as pistol fire on tile. A face from the past. Her lips had once been a trap he'd stepped into gladly. Now they were a reminder of what was, what never became, what couldn't be forgotten. Her name was Dolly St. Clair, once a singer, now a widow, first to a gangster, then to a prosecutor, then to Silas's brother. She didn't smile. "You haven't changed," she said, sitting down across from him. "Just the coat," he answered. They said nothing for a while. Jazz crept through the wall like a cat stalking a dying bird. "You know why I'm here?" Silas nodded. He knew, always had. "They're laughing again," she said, "but not at you." He looked up. The spark in his eyes was gunpowder. "Who?" "Garnell's people. He's alive, and he knows you're not." The name sliced the air like a razor across a cheek. Garnell, the old enemy, the man who burned down Silas's home, name, and trust. Officially, Silas Kane had died in 1921. Explosion. Accident. But now Garnell knew. Silas could walk away, right now. Stand up, vanish, stay dead. But her eyes asked for something else. They held fear. They held guilt. They held the man he once was. He stayed. "Where is he?" Silas asked. "Zodiac, that same club where you once saved my voice. Funny, isn't it? Then bullets, now songs." Silas rose, slowly, as if his suit wasn't cloth, but weight. "Then we go," he said. "Together?" "Yes, they'll laugh." He looked at her. "Let them." He opened the door. Rain whipped like a lash. Shadows reached for them like claws. His coat was soaked, like forgiveness. And in the back of his neck, something throbbed. One word. Too late. The Zodiac hadn't changed. Still the same red awning with faded stars. Still the same flickering neon sign bleeding violet across the wet sidewalk. Inside, the ceiling hung low and the smoke high. Tables crowded too close, lights too dim, and the piano never quite in tune. Every corner had an ear, every booth a secret. They walked in together. Silas in his gray coat, water dripping from the hem. Dolly at his side, spine straight, eyes forward, as if the years between them hadn't frayed her. Conversation slowed as they passed. Laughter died in throats. Some recognized him, most didn't, but all felt the shift. The pianist glanced up, faltered, missed a note, then played on, quieter now. A man near the bar whispered, "That Kane?" Another answered, "Kane's dead." "No," the first said, "he just walks like a ghost." They found a booth near the back, the same one where they'd once hidden from a storm that wasn't outside. Back then, his hands had shaken from love. Now from something older. Dolly lit a cigarette. Her fingers didn't tremble. She smoked like someone expecting the past to walk through the door. "You didn't tell me everything," he said. She looked at him. "Didn't I?" His eyes didn't blink. "Why now?" Dolly exhaled smoke. "Because Garnell isn't laughing in a room anymore. He's laughing through people, through money, through blood." Silas looked toward the stage. A girl sang, blonde, barely 20, voice like cracked glass. Wrong era, wrong place, but honest. "He killed him, didn't he?" he asked. She didn't speak. "I always knew it," Silas said. "Your husband, my brother." Dolly looked at the table. He asked too many questions about the warehouse, about the bodies that didn't go to trial. Silas's jaw clenched. And you let me think it was an accident. I had to. He stared at her. You needed to stay dead, she said. That was the only way you'd live. The waitress came, poured 2 glasses of rye, didn't ask for an order, just nodded and left. This booth knew its ghost. Silas drank. The rye burned. Not enough. Where is Garnell now? He asked. Same office, same crown, different teeth. He nodded. Still runs things from that old theater? Under it now. You'd need to drown to get inside. Silas leaned back. Rain thumped the windows behind them. I got a letter last week, Dolly said. He looked up. It was unsigned. Just one line. Even ghosts bleed. He said nothing. She added, there was a key in the envelope. Heavy, rusted, marked with a number 204. His eyes narrowed. That was his locker at Union Station. I didn't go. He finished his drink. Then I will. She reached across the table, touched his wrist. A small thing, but it stopped him. Don't, she said. I have to. You're not him anymore. He looked at her. That's the problem. Union Station, rainy afternoon, the kind that felt stuck between seasons. The lockers hadn't changed. 100 steel mouths waiting to open, waiting to tell. He found 204 near the far end. The key slid in like it belonged. Inside an envelope, no return address, thick with paper, and something heavier. He pulled it out, looked around. Nobody watching, but someone always was. Back at his rented room 1 floor above a butcher's shop, walls thin, faucet leaking, the envelope lay on the table under a bare bulb. He opened it slowly. First, photographs. Grainy, low angle, flash burned. Garnell shaking hands with a city councilman. Garnell at a funeral that never made the papers. Garnell giving a suitcase to a man with no name. Next, a map, hand-drawn, circles, arrows, a door marked with an X. Then, a revolver cylinder. No gun, just the chamber. All 6 rounds spent. On the inside rim, etched in small letters. He laughs last. Silas sat there a long time, rain ticking the window, the bulb humming, his breath shallow. The past wasn't just intruding, it had come home, kicked in the door, and made itself comfortable. At midnight, he returned to the club. Dolly was already there. Same booth, same coat over her shoulders. She looked like she hadn't moved since he left. I found it, he said. I know, she said. He set the photographs on the table, the map. The cylinder. She didn't touch them, just stared. Then, he's baiting you. Silas nodded. And I'm biting. Why? Because ghosts do bleed, but some take others with them. She leaned closer. If you go after him, he'll end you. Not just in blood, in memory. I'm already ended. No, she said. Not to me. A beat, soft, hollow. She whispered, I couldn't bury both of you. He touched her hand, held it. Warm, real, but he wasn't. Not anymore. He stood, left the map on the table. She didn't stop him, didn't follow, just whispered to the empty glass. Too late. By dawn, the rain had stopped, but the street still wept. Silas walked along State Street with the collar of his coat pulled high. The early light came pale and sickly, barely brushing the tops of buildings. Trolley bells rang somewhere behind, dull and out of time. This hour belonged to milkmen and ghosts. He passed the bakery where he once bought bread for a girl who no longer sang. Past the alley where he once hid a knife in the truth. Each step echoed like regret on stone. The key weighed in his pocket, not the station key. Another, older, thinner. Brass rubbed smooth by time. The lock it fit hadn't turned in years, but he knew the door. 10 blocks west, past the lumberyard, past the old tenement where names scratched into brick had outlived the mouse that said them. The door was still there, behind the pawn shop. Flaked green paint, rust at the hinges. He used to call this place the Hold, a safe room before everything went unsafe. The key turned, The door opened. Inside dust. Silence. A single bulb dangling like a noose. The cot where he once bled out a betrayal. The desk where he once wrote a name he no longer answered to. On the wall, a mirror. Cracked. He stared at it. His face looked older now, but not by years, by decisions. Eyes like unshut wounds. Jaw set like punishment. He lit a cigarette. Watched the smoke crawl upward, lazy and cruel. From the coat, he pulled the map, laid it on the desk. The X sat near the lakefront beneath the old Caldera Theater, closed for renovations, except the permits were forged and the workers wore shoulder holsters under their overalls. Garnell's new nest. Silas drew a line from the west alley to the stage entrance, circled it. That would be the blind spot. Maybe. He folded the map, slid it into his coat and turned to leave, but stopped. At the edge of the mirror, someone had written a word in grease pencil, faded, smeared, one syllable. Stay. He stared at it. The mirror didn't lie. He could walk now, disappear again, fade. He'd done it once, could do it twice, but not this time. He turned off the light, shut the door, and locked it from the inside, then left through the back window. A man doesn't come back from the dead twice. By noon, he was watching the theater. From a rooftop 2 blocks away, binoculars, notebook, one apple, half eaten. He watched men move in and out, always in pairs. No badges, no names. At 2:07, a black Packard pulled up. Garnell stepped out. Same swagger, same shark grin, gray suit, gold ring, lighter that clicked like a threat. He walked with 2 bodyguards in a shadow that didn't belong. Silas didn't know the man in the trench coat trailing them, but he would, soon. That night, he returned to Dolly. She opened the door before he knocked. "You're sure?" she asked. "Yes." "Then you'll need this." She handed him a package, wrapped in oilcloth, heavy. He unwrapped it slowly. Inside, his old Colt, a .38, polished, loaded. Next to it, a chain with a small brass locket. Inside, a photo of 3 boys on a fishing dock. One of them was smiling. He didn't remember that smile. "Why this?" he asked. She didn't answer, just turned away. He touched her shoulder. She didn't flinch. "I won't come back," he said. "I know. I might not even get to him." She looked at him then, eyes sharp, not wet, just tired. "Then make sure someone remembers why you tried." He nodded. No words left. He left her there, framed in hallway light, a woman too familiar with farewells. Midnight. He moved like water, through alleyways, over fences, past the broken-down trolley car that served as Garnell's lookout point. At 12:23, he reached the stage entrance. No guards. Odd. He slipped inside. Darkness swallowed him. Only the smell gave anything away, cigarettes, mildew, and old velvet. He followed the corridor. Stairs led downward, stone steps, damp. The map had said 3 landings. He passed 4. At the 5th, the door was open. He stepped through and froze. Lights, dozens of them, bright, hot, blinding, and voices. "You're early," said a man. Garnell, at a table in the center of the room, surrounded. 10 men, at least, all armed. Silas didn't reach for his gun. Would have been comedy. Garnell stood. "You always were dramatic," he said. "But walking in like this, you want to die." Silas said nothing. Garnell walked toward him. "I knew you were alive. You don't erase a man like you. Just smudge him." He circled Silas. "But you came anyway." "I came for the truth," Silas said. Garnell laughed. "Truth? What's that?" Silas looked him in the eye. "Something you left bleeding." Garnell stopped, then leaned in close, whispered, "So bleed again." He stepped back, snapped his fingers. 2 men grabbed Silas, dragged him to the table. Garnell poured whiskey, sat. "You know what's funny?" he said. Silas didn't answer. "They laughed at your coat, said you looked like a relic, said you were just an echo." He drank. Then, "Until you walked in with her." Silas looked up. Something changed in his eyes. A flicker. He smiled. Garnell frowned. "What?" Silas didn't answer. Instead, he laughed. low, rough, like gravel rolling. Then, "You should have brought more men." And in that moment, the lights went out. Gunfire exploded, and everything turned to smoke and echoes. The first shot wasn't his. It came from the stairs above, sharp, precise, and silencing. One of Garnell's men dropped with a grunt, hands grabbing at air. The others shouted, scattered, drew heat. In the darkness, it didn't matter who they aimed at. Panic moves faster than thought. Silas hit the ground hard, shoulder catching the edge of the table. The world spun. Somewhere in the smoke, he heard Garnell cursing, furniture splintering, glass shattering. He rolled, reached under his coat, found the Colt. 1 breath, 2. Then he fired. 3 shots, center mass. 1 man dropped, another ducked. The third fired back, missed by inches, but the plaster rained like snow. A hand grabbed his collar, pulled. He turned, gun raised, stopped. It was her, Dolly, soaked in shadow, eyes burning. "Come on," she whispered. He didn't ask how, didn't ask when, just followed. They moved through a side hallway lined with velvet curtains and forgotten programs. The lights flickered behind them, screams, more gunshots. Footsteps not theirs. "Stairs," she said. He nodded, 2nd level. Then through the dressing room's mirrors shattered, feathers on the floor, perfume like ghosts in the air. He stopped. "Why are you here?" he asked. She didn't turn, just said, "I couldn't let you do it alone." "And the shooter?" She didn't answer, not right away. Then quiet. "A friend, someone who still believes in debts." They passed a cracked mirror. His face stared back. Blood at the temple, not his. Sweat, gun, eyes too steady. He looked at her reflection. She was breathing fast, hands shaking now. "What is this, Dolly?" She turned. "The trap wasn't just for you." "Garnell," she nodded. "He sent the letter, the key, the map, all of it. He wanted you in that room, but not just to kill you." "Then what?" "To kill the past." She stepped closer. "He blames you." "For what?" "For surviving." The silence between them thickened. He touched her face. She didn't flinch, just leaned in, forehead to his. Whispered, "You're still breathing. That's what scares them." A door slammed somewhere behind. Voices, shouts. They moved again. The rooftop was slick, flat, endless. The city stretched out below, wet and golden. Every streetlight a memory. They ran across it, coats flaring like wings. The edge loomed. Fire escape. She went first. Then him. Bullets followed. Sparks flew. One tore through the iron near his hand. Another kissed her sleeve. Then down. Level after level. Rats skittered below. Trash glistened. They landed in the alley behind Caldera, breathing hard, steam rising from their backs. She leaned against the brick. He covered her. Eyes on the shadows. Silence. Then, "We need to split." She looked up. "No, they'll hunt you now. They always did." He touched her shoulder. Firm, then soft. "You saved me. I owed you." "You didn't." "I did." He stepped back. The Colt hung heavy in his coat. She saw the weight. "You're going back, aren't you?" He nodded. "There's something still breathing in there." She reached into her purse, pulled a folded note. "Then take this." He opened it. A name, a number, a place. "What is it?" "Insurance." She stepped away, then stopped. Said, "You still have a heart, Silas. You just forgot where you buried it." Then she disappeared into the night. He walked until the buildings changed. Industrial, hollowed out. Rain came back, soft, steady. A whisper, not a scream. He found the address on the note. A warehouse, empty, or so it looked. Inside, one desk, one chair, one man. The same man who had followed Garnell into the theater. Trench coat, gray, clean. He looked up as Silas entered. "You were supposed to be dead," he said. "So were you." The man smiled. "Federal Narcotics Bureau," he said. "Undercover, deep, real deep." Silas didn't sit. "I don't care what badge you carry. You should. Why? Because we both want Garnell gone. Silas said nothing. The man slid a file across the desk. Inside, photos, statements, maps, numbers, names. Everything we have, he said. He's about to expand north. Detroit, Cleveland. We can't let him. And what do you want from me? Nothing. That's a lie. The agent's smile faded. We want a ghost. What kind? Yours. Silas closed the file, looked up. You want me to stay dead? Dead men make fewer headlines. He considered it. Long. The room smelled of dust, ink, and decisions. Finally, no deal, he said. The agent leaned back. You'll die. Maybe. He turned to leave, then paused. One thing, he said. The agent raised an eyebrow. If I go back in, if I bring Garnell down, what happens to her? Which one? You know which? The agent was quiet. Then, she disappears. Clean. Safe. No eyes? None. Silas nodded. Left. That night he watched from across the street. The club burned slow. Molten orange in the rain. Someone had torched it from the basement. Sirens came too late. Inside, the rot curled and died. Garnell wasn't in it. He'd vanished again. But not for long. Silas would find him. Not for vengeance. Not even for justice. But because some ghosts don't rest until the last echo fades. He touched the locket in his pocket. It was warm. Like memory. Or fire. He stayed moving. A night here, two there. Warehouses, rooftops. Rooms without names. He never slept in the same place twice. Every shadow felt heavier now. Every silence too deliberate. The city still breathed, but it breathed through its teeth. Dolly's number never rang again. The locket remained in his pocket, close to the chest. He touched it often, never opened it. He asked questions, subtle ones, to barkeeps with half a face, to coat check boys with twitchy hands, to piano men who knew when not to play. Everyone had heard of Garnell. Nobody had seen him. 2 weeks passed. The streets dried, but the air didn't. The map in his mind filled with holes, red circles, dead ends. And the file from the agent too neat, too clean. Not wrong, just framed. Something underneath it all scratched at his skull. He started following the agent. No name, no badge, just friend. The man moved well low, quiet, rehearsed, but not rehearsed enough. Silas trailed him from train yards to union halls to a gambling den beneath a shuttered synagogue. The man was talking to everyone, too many someones. One night Silas watched him slip into a side door on Adams Street. 15 minutes later, Garnell walked out, alive, laughing, shaking hands. Silas didn't follow, didn't shoot. He just stood there. And the cold in his gut finally had a name: betrayal. That night the rain came back, hard. It slapped rooftops and sobbed in gutters. The kind of rain that drowned footprints and truth alike. Silas sat in a small room above the train yard, walls sweating, light bulb humming. The Colt lay on the table beside a glass of rye. He stared at both. The mirror across from him was shattered, one line across the middle like a scar. He lit a cigarette, didn't smoke it, just watched it burn. He didn't feel anger. He felt confirmation. They wanted him to pull the trigger on Garnell, so they wouldn't have to. Then they'd wipe him again. This time for good. He didn't flinch when the knock came. Just said, "Oh, door's open." It creaked. She stepped in. Not Dolly, someone younger. Red scarf, damp curls, eyes too old. "You don't know me," she said. "No, but I know you." He looked up. "Who sent you?" She didn't answer. Just crossed the room, set something on the table, a photo of Garnell and the agent, and a third man, his brother, smiling, drinking, alive. "Where did you get this?" She didn't answer, just sat, hands trembling. Then, "They're building something." "What?" "Not just routes, not just bribes. They're building a ledger." He stared. "A map," she said, "of who's dead and who still matters. And my brother was part of it before they erased him. Not because he turned, because he knew too much. Silas clenched his jaw. The photo blurred in his fingers. Why bring it to me? Because ghosts listen, she said. She stood, left without another word. The rain swallowed her. He sat in silence. The locket pressed against his ribs. He took it out, opened it. Inside, not a photo, a folded piece of paper, one name, a single street address, his brother's handwriting, faded, but real. He closed it, and everything else inside him. The address was in the East Yards, dead rail lines and silent cranes. The kind of place where nothing began, but everything ended. He went at dusk, alone, no gun drawn, just ready. The warehouse stood like a coffin turned sideways. Windows boarded, grass dead. He stepped inside, and the air changed. Colder, quieter. Then, a voice. Didn't think you'd find this place. It wasn't Garnell. It wasn't the agent. It was his brother. Older, thinner, but whole. He stepped out of the dark. No gun, no fear, just memory. Silas froze. Peter, he nodded. I wanted to tell you. Silas didn't speak. Peter stepped closer. They were going to kill me. Garnell, the feds, everyone. They needed a body, so I gave them mine. And mine? Silas said. Peter looked away. I didn't know. Not then. Silas moved forward. You let her bury you. Peter flinched. I had to. For what? For the file. Silas stared. That map? Peter nodded. I wrote it, hid it, fed it piece by piece. The girl, the scarf, she's mine. She's been watching them. Why now? Peter's voice cracked. Because Garnell doesn't hide anymore. He builds. And you just watched? I was waiting for someone who wouldn't look away. Silas stepped back. The room felt smaller now. Dolly knew? No, she just wanted you to survive. She's good at that, Silas said, then paused. Are you? Peter didn't answer. Just sat down, like a man out of breath. Silas left without another word. Outside, the sky had split open again. He didn't flinch, didn't light a smoke, didn't look back. He had a name now, a plan, and a reckoning. But more than that, he had the weight of being the one left standing. The next day, Garnell's name vanished from 5 ledgers. 2 warehouses emptied. 1 man in a coat was found dead under the river bridge. Not Garnell, the agent. And on the wall behind his body, scrawled in blood, ghosts remember. The river ran high that week. Rain hadn't let up. It pooled on sidewalks, bled into cellars, turned alleys into veins. And somewhere beneath the old truss bridge, a body rocked gently in the shallows like a bad secret. They pulled him out at dawn. Gray coat, no ID, wallet gone. But everyone who needed to know already knew. The agent was dead, and Silas Kane was alive. The newspaper didn't run a story. No ink, no questions. Just a whisper, another ghost out of breath. Silas didn't attend the scene. He was busy. Garnell had moved again, more cautious, more angry. 2 of his boys had vanished the same night the river swallowed the Fed. He'd tightened the circle now, pulled his lieutenants into a penthouse above the Majestic Hotel. Same windows, same cigars, different tension. Silas watched from across the street. The ghost of a smile played on his mouth. He'd baited the hook. Now he waited. The next night, Dolly returned. No knock, no warning. Just a figure in the doorframe, coat soaked through, eyes hollow. You did it, she said. I did something. He's hiding. He's waiting. She stepped inside, closed the door behind her. The room smelled of gun oil and old coffee. Rain ticked the windows like bones. You look tired, she said. I am. She studied him. There's more. He didn't respond. Tell me. He lit a cigarette, inhaled. Then, my brother's alive. She sat, hard. The chair creaked. The room spun. No, that's not possible. It is. Why, how? He traded his name for silence, disappeared under their orders. But he's been feeding them from the inside. She blinked, slow. I buried him. He let you. Her voice cracked. He let me cry over nothing? Silas didn't answer. There was no answer. She stood, pacing now, every step a wound reopening. Did he know what it cost? No, Silas said, but I think he does now. She stopped, faced him. And you? He met her gaze. I buried myself too. Difference is I stayed dead. Silence, then softer. What are you going to do? He dropped the cigarette into the glass. It hissed. Burn it down. They met one more time, all three, in the warehouse again. Neutral ground. Silas, Peter, Dolly, the past, the ghost, and the wound. Peter looked older now, the way guilt does to men. He spoke first. I didn't mean for it to go this far. No one ever does, Silas replied. Dolly didn't sit, just watched. Peter laid out the files, Garnell's roots, contacts, dates, all of it. Silas scanned the pages. It was real, deadly, but incomplete. There's a missing piece, he said. Peter nodded. A meeting. Tomorrow night. The Grove Hotel. All the heads. Every city. Silas looked up. And? They think I'm bringing them the next phase. Instead, I bring you. Dolly turned. No. Silas didn't move. You'll die. Maybe. This isn't justice. No, he said. It's the last thing before justice. She walked to him, took his hand. Let me come. He shook his head. You've buried enough Cain men. Peter coughed. It won't work without leverage. Silas raised an eyebrow. Peter opened his coat. Inside, a reel of film. Black canister, heavy. What's that? The insurance. He set it on the table. They recorded everything. Meetings, murders, even the agent's orders. I copied it all. Silas picked it up, held it to the light, like memory in a coffin. Where did you get this? Peter looked at Dolly, then back. You're not the only ghost with a key. The Grove Hotel stood 12 stories above the boulevard. Clean marble, too many mirrors. The kind of place where men talked loud and lied quiet. Silas walked in the front door. Gray coat, no hat, just the Colt beneath his ribs and film under his arm. He passed bellboys, diners, drunks. No one stopped him. At the elevator, he pressed 12. Doors closed. Time slowed. When they opened, 5 men turned. 3 stood. 2 sat. 1 was Garnell. He smiled. Well, well. Look what death spit back. Silas walked forward. Didn't speak. The men eyed the canister. 1 reached. Silas tossed it on the table. Heavy thunk. You want the future, he said. There it is. Garnell leaned in, opened the canister, pulled the reel halfway out, paused. This isn't the drop film. No, Silas said. It's the drop you. Then he drew. Fast. 3 shots. 2 men down. Chaos. Smoke. He dove behind a chair, fired again. Garnell ran. Out the side door. Up the service stair. Silas followed. Blood on the rail. Rain through the roof skylight. Garnell burst through. Onto the helipad. But no chopper. Just sky. And Silas. Gun raised. Breath heavy. Garnell turned. No jury, Cain. No need. Garnell smiled. Then lunged. Silas shot. Twice. The body dropped. Bounced. Slid. Stopped. At the edge. Silas walked to it. Bent down. Garnell's eyes still moved. His lips, too. You don't win, he whispered. Silas said nothing. Just took the film from his pocket, held it up, then threw it into the sky. It unraveled. Black ribbon in the wind. Below them, the city didn't look back. It never did. The film danced like a dying snake in the wind, slithering into the rain. Garnell's breath rattled once, then stopped. Just a cough of steam, then quiet. His body slumped like a broken oath. No theatrics, no last words that mattered. Only the thud of weight surrendering to gravity. Silas stood still, eyes to the sky, rain running down his face like tears no one asked for. His gun hung by his side. Smoke rose from the muzzle like regret. The rooftop was empty again. No applause, no salvation, just blood and water pooling at his feet. He turned, and there she was, Dolly. Her coat clung to her like the past. Wet hair plastered to her cheeks, a look on her face that wasn't shock, wasn't fear, just understanding. "You knew I'd be here," he said. "I never left." She stepped toward him, each step measured, deliberate. "You're hurt," she said, "not where it counts." He holstered the gun. "I threw the film," he said. "It's gone." "I saw. It wouldn't have mattered." She stopped close now. "No," she said, "but you would have." The rain softened. Down below, sirens wailed, but none climbed the stairs. Not yet. They didn't run. Not at first. They walked. Down 12 floors, back through the corridors lined with velvet and lies. Past the men Silas had dropped. 2 groaning, 1 quiet. Past the security guard who looked away. Past mirrors that refused to show the truth. At the lobby, Peter waited. Alive. Drenched. Shaking. "Did it work?" he asked. Silas nodded. It ended. Peter didn't speak. Just stared at the elevator, then at Silas. "You look like hell. You should see the other guy." "Is he?" "Dead." Peter exhaled long and low. They left through the service door. A Packard waited in the alley, motor running. No plates, no questions. Dolly got in back, Peter behind the wheel. Silas paused. One last look at the hotel. Then he slid in, closed the door. They pulled away slow. No chase. No one looking. The city didn't care anymore. And neither did he. They drove west, through old districts, past shuttered shops and forgotten street signs. Lights flickered in the distance, refinery fires, neon diners, motels without guests. They stopped outside an old boarding house on the edge of town. Silas stepped out. Dolly followed. Peter didn't. Just nodded once, then drove off. Silas and Dolly stood in the doorway. The porch light buzzed. Inside, it smelled of wood smoke and old fabric. A woman brought them towels, didn't ask names. Just gave a room key and a smile worn thin by years. They climbed the stairs. Room 8. She opened the door. He stepped inside. The window looked east over the freight yard. A train passed, slow and distant, horn low. She hung her coat. He sat. The silence wrapped them both. "You could stay," she said. "I know. No one's chasing. No one remembers." She looked at him. "There's a difference between being forgotten and being free." He didn't answer. She came close, sat beside him, took his hand. It was cold, but steady. "You still feel it?" she asked. "Every hour." "The guilt?" "No," he said. "The weight." She leaned her head on his shoulder. They said nothing for a long time. The wind pressed against the window. A siren moaned far off, then died. Finally, "You could be someone else," she whispered. He looked at her. "I tried that once. I became no one." "You're not no one." He kissed her, gently, then stood, walked to the window. Outside, the tracks ran straight for miles. Rain on steel, echoes. He lit a cigarette. Didn't smoke it, just let it burn. She joined him. Her hand slid into his. He held it. The silence between them wasn't heavy now, just real. He turned, faced her. "I'll stay," he said, "tonight. And tomorrow," he smiled, soft, sad, one night at a time. That morning they left before sunup, left the keys on the nightstand. No notes, no names, just shadows and footprints. Peter disappeared. The feds stopped asking questions. Garnell's name slid off ledgers like oil off water. No one claimed the body, no one filed the papers. The city rolled forward, unchanged, but something shifted under the skin. A whisper. Kane's back. But Kane didn't care. He was done chasing ghosts. Now he just listened to them. 1 month later, in a jazz bar 2 towns west, a man in a gray coat sat in the corner booth. Alone. Whiskey half drunk, eyes watching the door. The girl on stage sang low and cracked. Dolly, not her name anymore, but her voice hers. She looked at him once, nodded, sang softer, like a secret. Outside, the rain came back, soft, like it never left. Silas didn't move. He just listened. And the ghosts? They stayed quiet, for now. The glass was warm in his hand, not from the whiskey, but from waiting. She was still singing, the same song as that night. Different key, slower now, like memory melting. Silas watched the smoke curl in the lamplight. It rose lazy, like a question with no answer. Rain tapped the windows. He didn't look. The locket sat on the table, closed, unopened since the last time he needed reminding. He pushed it toward the edge but didn't let it fall. Across the room, a man laughed too loud. Silas didn't flinch. He only glanced at her. She glanced back. That was enough. No words passed, none needed. The song ended. No applause, just silence. Heavy, honest, and in it, a breath. Then he stood, left the locket where it lay, and walked out. The street was empty, wet, wide. He lit a cigarette, didn't smoke. Just walked, and the rain didn't touch him, not anymore.